Should you run dynamic ads on your podcast? That is what we're talking about today. Hey everyone, I'm Sunny with the Independent Podcast Network. We are a network that helps you grow, monetize, and connect with other podcasters. You can check us out at independentpodcast.network. So you may have heard of dynamic ads in the past, and you're wondering, is this a good fit for my show? Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am a huge advocate of dynamic ads. I think it's something that a lot of podcasters don't even know that exists. And if they do know that it exists, they've probably not heard the whole story of the benefits of them. They maybe got scared away because it involved some technology or something like that and thought it was too much, that they couldn't handle it or they couldn't cover the cost or whatever. And I'm here to dispel some of those rumors because I do run dynamic ads, my own podcast. It increased my revenue tenfold when I made that decision to do it. So I think this is a huge, like one of the best kept secrets in podcasting. And we're here to get the word out, right? Because we want to help independent podcasters really grow their audiences and make money with their shows if that's what you guys choose to do. So dynamic ads in your show, who should be running these? Well, honestly, there's only two types of podcasts that I think can get away with not running dynamic ads. That doesn't mean they should, but if someone says that they fall into one of these two categories, I usually give them a pass and just kind of let things slide. You ready? The first one is if you're not creating evergreen content. So in other words, you have very timely content that you're releasing, and people probably aren't going to listen to those episodes, weeks, years, whatever, into the future. Like if you got to get it out there, like a news podcast, sports podcast, maybe sports podcast, anything that's really timely, then yeah, I can see why maybe you don't want to run dynamic ads because you could probably bake in an ad, embed an ad, and get, the same, bang for your buck. So that's the first one. The second one is if you're releasing daily content. Now, this may go hand in hand with the first one, right? But if you've got a show that you're producing brand new content every day, I can also see how you may not want to use dynamic ads. You're getting out, new episodes, and therefore you're refreshing your ads every day. And so it becomes, it's a little bit different of a process. So if your show falls into one of those two categories, I would say you can probably let it slide. You're still missing out though. Okay. And I'll explain that in just a bit, but maybe, the embedded ads, the baked in ads will work for you. It doesn't work with every podcast host provider. This is a tool, and it is really up to your podcast host provider to provide the technology behind it. So it's not like you can go out there and just pick any podcast host provider and be like, now I'm going to do dynamic ads. No, they have to have the technology. So if you don't have a podcast host provider that has this kind of dynamic insertion technology, then you may need to migrate over to a different host. The other thing you need to know is not all of these sites are created equal when it comes to dynamic insertion. I have seen more and more podcast host providers get into dynamic insertion because that's usually what the bigger podcasts do, because quite frankly, you make a ton more money doing it. But their technology is flawed. Sometimes they will, you'll set an ad to run and it won't run, or the stats that you get for your show are a little bit off, things like that. Like you need to make sure you choose a podcast host provider that this really is their focus and this is really what they steer people towards. And I'm going to give you a great podcast host provider at the end. It's one that I do for all of my shows and I encourage all the shows on our network to use. I'll tell you more about that at the end of this video. But just know, you may be in a situation where your podcast host provider does not allow for dynamic ads. They don't provide that kind of technology. And in that case, you may need to migrate over. Let's talk about what an ad is, right? Because if we're going to insert ads or promos into our show, we really need to know what we're talking about here. So an advertisement, this is kind of how I classify it. It could be promoting other people's products. Okay, that's what we typically think of, right? We typically think of partnering with a company, with a brand, and we're going to promote their products, we're going to promote their services. That's an ad. But what about promoting your own stuff? This is something that I think a lot of people forget about. And honestly, I think it is the best way to make money with your podcast. Because think about this. Your audience is coming to your podcast to listen to you. not because you recommend a certain product or whatever. Most of the time, they just want to hear your guests, right? That's why they're coming to your show. So it's not that big of a leap or jump for them to be like, well, I already like Sunny's show. If Sunny is selling a product, I might like Sunny's product as well. So even if you don't offer any products or services now, think about that. Think about something you might be able to create. Maybe it just starts with, a free PDF just to start your newsletter list, right? So you can reach out to them, grow your audience that way. But start thinking about that. The other thing that could be an ad is some sort of an affiliate program. Okay. You don't have your own products and services, but you love XYZ product. Maybe they don't have the money to give you money up front for your show, but you sell it so well on your show that you're actually making money from it. I like to encourage podcasters to specifically approach companies that they're passionate about. Yes, there are affiliate programs. I don't even know all the ones out there, like Commission Junction was one of them, Share a Sale. I don't know if even all of those exist anymore. But my recommendation is this. There are certain products that I really love. So I would reach out to those companies individually. I would see if they had some sort of program or if they would be willing to create something. Believe it or not, I've reached out to companies and they said, well, we don't have anything, but it'd be really easy for us to do that. And we're happy to do that with you because we think you'd be, a great ambassador for our product. So, start thinking a little bit outside the box. So those are the affiliate programs. And then also an ad could be anything you want to promote. Okay. Sometimes we separate that and we say, oh, that's a promotion, but really it is an advertisement to talk about something that you want to promote. So maybe that's your Facebook page. I mentioned a PDF earlier that you use to get people to sign up to your newsletter list. It could be anything that you want to offer. Perhaps you have a new book coming out and you want to plug that. Perhaps you're going to be signing copies of your book in a specific city. You want to tell people about that event. So anything you want to promote could also, like a giveaway. Anything you want to promote in your show could also be considered an ad. Okay. It doesn't just have to be a company that you're working with that pays you. Okay, so all of those are considered ads, and dynamic ads really enhance those opportunities. Now, I want to tell you the top 5 reasons that I use dynamic ads in my podcast, why I think they're better, and how they help the podcaster. First, you can reach your entire audience faster. So think about this. If you didn't have dynamic ads and you wanted to promote something, you would have to create some sort of ad and put it in the newest episode you release. And then only the people that listen to that episode are going to hear that ad. But what if you could take that ad and have it appear on all of your episodes? Because we know people are listening to the very first episode we created, not just our most recent one, right? We put it out there. They can listen to whatever they want. So whatever message you're trying to get out there, wouldn't it be great if it didn't matter what episode they listened to? They heard whatever you're trying to promote. You simply cannot do that with baked in or embedded ads. But with dynamic ads, you're creating the ad, and then through technology, you're inserting this into little markers that you have set up in your episodes. So it can go out and immediately your entire audience can hear it regardless of whatever episode they're listening to. You will make more money. I mentioned, this to you earlier in this video. I literally 10x'd my revenue when I switched from doing the baked in embedded ads to dynamic ads. Because when I first launched my podcast, I actually didn't have access to the technology to do dynamic ads. So the only thing I really could do was create an ad, edit it, stitch it into my show, just edit it into the show, and then get the money for the ad. And that was it. Well, further down the line, I migrated to a different host provider and, had all these new cool tools that were now accessible to me. And when I made that switch, instead of only being able to sell one episode at a time, let's say an episode had 1,000 downloads. Well, an advertiser or, anyone may not be that impressed with just 1,000 downloads for that one episode. But, let's say I had 100 episodes and for the entire month, all of those episodes equaled 50,000 downloads. Well, because I had ad markers in all my shows, that ad could go across all of those episodes and therefore make me like 50 times the amount of money that I would just make, right? And so that's how I 10x'd my revenue. And it is a huge moneymaker. And it really allows you to monetize your back catalog, because I never thought that it was fair that you would release an episode, and if you didn't have a sponsor for it or whatever, it's like you did all that work and you never really got paid for doing that work. Well, now you don't have to worry about that so much. It's just about putting out good content, and then those people can advertise on all of those episodes. The other thing I really like about this is how you can really target your ads to reach a specific demographic. Now, not all podcast host providers that offer dynamic insertion have this capability. But in theory, if you have an advertiser that wants to, their audience is just in a specific area, let's say it's Los Angeles, you can program this ad to just reach people in a certain zip code, just in the Los Angeles area. And therefore, you can work with that advertiser. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be interested in your show. Likewise, if you had a promo that you wanted to run because you were going to be in New York City for a book signing, you could have a promo that ran on your show, and it could just go out to the people that are in New York City. So you have these different tools that you can play around with, and it's really helpful when getting new campaigns and landing new deals. You can change the ad whenever you want. You can change it as often as you want because you're creating the ad separately. You're dropping it into the show. It's going out. You can switch it up as much as you like. I've had advertisers come to me and say, Sunny, we've got this huge sale that's going on this weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend, and we just want the ad to run this, for over the weekend or whatever, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then we want you to change up the ad, to promote this for next week. So you can get as detailed as you want. And advertisers really like that. They don't necessarily like, just one ad going out that just, fits everybody. The more specific we are with our ads, usually the better return on investment we get. So we can change it up for them. It's no extra cost, at least with the podcast host provider we use, there's no extra cost, and you can really tailor it to the audience. The numbers are extremely accurate. What do I mean by that? So statistics really do matter, okay? And when you're running these ads, you need to be able to tell with confidence, to an advertiser or even just to prove yourself that these ads are working. And dynamic ads, it only counts as someone listening to an ad if people listened long enough in the show to actually hear the ad. That's huge because when you have just, when you just embed or, bake in ads to your podcast, well, you don't really know if they listened long enough in the show to hear the ad. And so you're charging advertisers for someone who may have just listened for a few seconds, and that may sound good because that may increase your numbers a little bit. But ultimately, if people aren't listening to the ad, they're not going to convert. And so you want to have a really long, good relationship with that advertiser, right? You want them to renew. You want to keep working with them. And so it really doesn't help you if, those numbers are high, but people aren't actually listening, right? So the numbers are really accurate. Advertisers really like that. And by the way, there's a lot of different benefits for advertisers. I've created this PDF that breaks down the benefits for advertisers as well as the benefits for podcasters. So I encourage you guys to check that out. But it's things like being able to listen to an ad before it goes live, the breakdowns, in geographics, like I told you about, you can really hone in. You can even hone in as close as a zip code. Let's say it's a car dealership and they're only in a specific zip code. You can really focus in on that if you have a big enough show and you've got the numbers to support that. So advertisers usually like that they have more control over all of this. They're already a little bit nervous about working with podcasters because it's a new medium for most of them. And so having these different things that are kind of built in, something that's similar to radio and television, like that really does help the advertisers just feel a little bit more comfortable. So I just ran through 5 of the things that I really like about dynamic ads that really made it an easy and affordable option for my podcast to use. And if you think you guys are interested in dynamic ads, I would love for you to check out the podcast host provider we use. So at Independent Podcast Network, we are really focused on helping independent podcasters get access to the tools and information they need to grow and monetize their shows. And so obviously this falls into the monetization camp, right? We use a service called Megaphone, and you can go and check out their website. I believe it's megaphone.fm, and they're really focused on bringing in a lot of the bigger shows and the bigger networks and things like that. But we have been grandfathered in, and we can give you guys a really awesome deal. In fact, if you go to the website now, there's going to be a really high minimum that you would have to pay every month. You'd have to sign a year-long contract and some other things that, a lot of times independent podcasters don't feel really comfortable with, but we've waived a lot of that for you. So you get access to this amazing technology. Again, I use it with my own shows, so I would not promote something I wouldn't use myself. And in the description for this video, I'm going to go ahead and include a link. If you guys are interested, if you want some more information about that and how you can get in under our account, you get all of the benefits, there's going to be a link. Just go to the link, fill out some basic information, and we'll get back in touch with you guys. And if you're brand new to podcasting and you're like, man, dynamic ads sound cool, but I'm just in the early stages of launching my podcast. Well, I have created an online course. It's called How to Launch Your Profitable Podcast in 30 Days. And in that, we discuss the 5 P's of podcasting, which is prep, plan, produce, promote, and profit. And if you can master the 5 P's of podcasting, you've got this podcasting thing down. You are going to have a successful show. So that online course is available to you. If you want to go ahead and click this link here, I did this little video that tells you a little bit more about it. You can access it anytime. The course never expires, and I'm always updating it with new information. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. Again, I'm a huge advocate of dynamic ads. If you have any other questions, post them in the links below, in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to help you out. Have a good one.